What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Welcome back to the Respawn, the series where I answer your questions. Today, we're going to be talking mostly about Overwatch 2 and what you can expect. Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark, one of the world's leading VPN. Protecting yourself online is getting more important every day, and Surfshark provides some of the best security available with high-level encryption and a multi-hop system allowing connections to 2 servers for extra protection. Surfshark has a very strict no-logs policy which guarantees your privacy online. Now, with so many people spending more time at home, one of Surfshark's best features is the ability to access region-locked streaming content anywhere in the world. Surfshark gives you access to dozens of streaming libraries including Netflix, Disney+, and more. This allows you to view content that might be blocked in your area but is available somewhere else. Surfshark also has great 24/7 support and a 30-day money-back guarantee, meaning you have nothing to risk when you try it out. And right now you can take advantage of a great special offer using my code BLAMETC or the link down below. You can get 83% off and 3 months free. But the offer is only good for a limited time, so click the link down below and try it out. Let's get started. First question, do you think a voice pack feature would be possible? There are 2 parts to this. Either you can record your own and use it in workshop and that sort of thing. Apparently Braddy wants to record her own. Okay, you can either record your own and use it in the workshop, or you can have a special guest one, which would be like maybe Sylvanas or the Lich King or something from World of Warcraft, and then you can use that as your announcer pack kind of deal. For recording your own, I just don't see that ever happening because there are just so many potential problems. Obviously, a cat that wants to meow in the background of a recording is the least of your concerns for possible bad stuff that might happen. And even if it's just for your own use, I don't think they would ever do that because it just probably wouldn't be worth it. Like, how many people would actually want to record their own stuff and then have it so that only they could listen to it? Just doesn't seem worth it. Now, as for the other stuff like the announcer packs, characters from other games and that sort of thing like StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo and that, I do think that that is an actual possibility. They could do that at some point in the future, and I think it would be really cool for them to do. Now, other games like Dota also allow custom announcer packs for some of the, kind of celebrities, I guess, like the higher profile people in the community, but I don't think Blizzard really wants to do that. I don't think they want to include any of the stuff for, like, for example, I've had people ask if I could get, like, my character logo and stuff, like, the Blame the Controller stuff in the game and that sort of thing, and I just don't think Blizzard's ever going to want to do anything like that where they want to put those sorts of things. I mean, there has been quite a bit of success with other games, Dota, Fortnite, and that sort of thing, but it's just something that Blizzard just doesn't really seem to want to do. So when it comes to custom voice pack sort of thing, I do think it's possible that we could have the announcer packs from other games, from like official Blizzard sources, but everything else, no, I don't think it's going to happen. What do you think of the Overhealth changes? Isn't this a Brig and Torb nerf? In case you didn't know, in Overwatch 2, they're taking all of the extra temporary shields, temporary health, temporary armor, all that extra stuff that you get normally on top of your normal health bar, and they're changing it to just one system and calling it Overhealth. So it doesn't matter if it's Doomfist's passive, Lucio's sound barrier, Brigida's rally, it's all just going to be Overhealth. Now, obviously, this would cause a problem for Brig and Torb because their extra stuff is armor, which has a damage reduction value, which means if you just turn it into Overhealth, you're going to end up getting less value from it. But the Overwatch devs already talked about this, and they said that because it's not being armor anymore, what they're going to do is likely just add more to it. So Brigida's rally will get more than she did currently in the live version. Same thing with Torbjorn's overload. It's going to get more of it. So it's going to offset whatever damage reduction kind of thing that you would be losing from the armor, and you're just going to get it. So I think overall the Overhealth thing is very good because the whole temporary shields, temporary health, temporary armor, like all of that didn't need to be there. Just regular Overhealth, putting it all into one and making it that bright green bar makes it very, very clear when you're looking at an enemy or even a teammate, really, and you can see that, okay, he has a little bit of white health, but then he has a huge amount of temporary health, all that big green bar for the health, Overhealth. Then you know that, okay, in a couple seconds, that player is going to lose all of that, and you're just going to have the little bit of normal health left. I think it's actually a very good system that they're going to be moving to, and as long as they just give a little bit more for Torb and Brig, then it should be fine. Next up, will healing be too strong now with only one tank? I don't think so. I think you're going to have to use a little bit more resources in order to keep that one tank alive because the entire enemy team is going to be focusing on them, right? Rather than having two of the tanks that is going to kind of split the difference with the enemy attacks, now you only have that one big target out in front. So I think you need that extra healing. But on top of that, I think what's mostly going to happen is you're going to have one healer that is focused on the tank, and then you're going to have the other healer that is focused on the rest of the team. So it's going to be kind of split, and I think that is probably going to kind of make the difference between main healer and off healer a little bit bigger, and you're going to see more of a split in that role. So while we're getting rid of the whole main tank, off tank thing, I think you're going to see even more emphasis on main healer, off healer in the support category. But I think that the healing total amount should be fine. Next up, what changes would you make to Orisa and Sigma to fit them in the new 5v5? There's a lot of stuff. I haven't spent too much time trying to think about how I would rework the characters, but the first thing that I would look at is the barrier situation. You're going to need to make the barriers more disposable. This means lowering the total health and also lowering the cooldown on them so that they can be used more frequently. You don't want the characters just sitting in one spot. You want them constantly moving around, putting barriers in different places and all that sort of stuff. So just sitting in one spot, not a good idea anymore. And anything to kind of encourage more frequent use of the abilities and moving around and relocating is going to be a lot better. But I also think that maybe some mobility might be necessary because, again, you can't have the stationary characters in Overwatch. That just doesn't really work. And with characters like Orisa, who is basically meant to kind of sit in one spot and not really move, and just kind of be behind a barrier, that isn't going to work. You're going to need to change some things. And if you're changing how the barrier works so that she can move around more frequently with it, then she might want to get some sort of extra movement speed. Now, it doesn't mean that she's going to get a charge or a leap or anything like that. But one of the things with Orisa is, I mean, she's kind of, based on the whole horse concept, that sort of thing, right? So why is it that she's the only character with 4 legs, and yet she doesn't have any movement speed? So that's something that's been mentioned ever since the character was first introduced. So I think that there's a bunch of changes. I would look at barriers, I would look at the movement speed, or some other kind of movement ability for the characters. Since the devs are changing CC, what would you give McCree instead of Flashbang? I think there are 3 possibilities for what the devs are going to do. 1, they could just give it a whole bunch of damage and take away the CC. 2, they could change the CC to something that isn't as annoying as a stun, maybe very brief slow or something like that. I don't think they're going to do the white screen thing. That would just be way too annoying. Or possibility 3, which would be they just give him a whole new ability. And I would go with number 3. I would say just give him a whole new ability. I don't think you need to have another short-range, high-damage ability because he already has Fan the Hammer, right? Like, that's already really good. You don't need to have an extra thing on top of that. So what are you going to give him? I don't think you can give him mobility. I mean, he has roll. That's not really all that great for mobility, right? But I don't think giving him any sort of speed boost or jump or anything like it doesn't seem to really fit the character. I think what you would probably end up getting is some sort of weird new defensive ability. Now, I'm not saying he would just get like a whole bunch of damage resistance or anything like that, but I think you would probably have something that kind of works more in the defensive capacity, but I don't know. I would have to spend some time thinking about it, but I would just go with something new. I wouldn't just add damage to the current ability and remove CC or anything. I think that would just be kind of dumb. So I'm not really sure what I would give to the character, but I know that it would not just be a boring change to the existing ability. Next up, what were your thoughts on the shield generator ult for Symmetra? It was kind of good, kind of bad. As a support, I like being able to just drop something down that would kind of passively buff the rest of my team, but I didn't like the fact that I really only had to do it once, because the shield generator itself was a semi-permanent thing, right? You would build up your ult, you would hide it in a corner somewhere, and then you just didn't have to worry about your ultimate at all anymore. I mean, unless someone on the enemy team went and kind of tracked it down, you wouldn't have to use your ultimate during any of the fights or nothing. You would have to build ult charge. So a big part of just playing the game was kind of removed from that character, and I didn't like that. If you were to bring that sort of ability back, I would just make it a normal ability and have it last for like 10 seconds or something, or 15 seconds or whatever, and that would be fine. You would obviously have to change some of the other stuff on it, obviously cooldown, and then the total amount benefit that you would get, and the range, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. there would have to be changes. But if you were to bring that back, I would say just make it a normal ability, something that you have to use on a regular basis for every single fight, not just put it down once and then forget about it. And that's going to be all the questions for this video. Thank you to everyone who submitted one. I have a new question card on the community tab of my YouTube channel. I'll put a link for that down below so you can go directly there and post your question. Also, make sure to check out today's sponsor, Surfshark. You got a great deal and some great stuff from it. A big thanks to all the Paragons and other channel members for all your support. If you'd like to become one and grab some cool rewards, click the join button down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like before you leave. And remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.